When people hear that I do voiceover full-time, especially in South Africa, the first reaction is usually a desire to get into the space because one, they can read, and two, they think their voice is good for voiceover. But voiceover isn't just about having a nice voice or being able to read. What pulled me in and what's kept me in is something much deeper than that. It's the ability to communicate emotion, story, instruction from the client at the desired energy level, all without being seen. So let me take you back to when it all started. I was producing music, mainly working with rappers, and because I heard a lot of good rappers and bad ones, I picked up a thing or two about what to do and what not to do. One day I got a request from a client to record themselves doing a voiceover, and I was intrigued. This person came to me to record, paid my recording fee. They'll send what we did in that session and then they'll get paid for it. And I was like, I want to be a part of that. So I did a demo and I started emailing that demo around. And I even sent it to another voiceover where I got a little bit of a critique. And although their advice was probably top notch, I had no frame of reference. So I didn't know how to implement his feedback. Fast forward a few years and I found myself setting up my first Fiverr profile. I was on there mainly for mixing and mastering, but got curious when I saw other South African voiceover artists on there. I set up a profile using those old samples, not expecting much. What I thought would be my secondary source of income off Fiverr quickly became all that people wanted from me. No one wanted mixing and mastering. I recorded my first 30 to 40 jobs using an Audio Technica 80-2020, a staple mic for any beginner voiceover artist, and I had a UR22C Steinberg audio interface that I was using. With voiceover, the jobs were a lot faster than when I was doing music stuff. With beats, I was always chasing the next placement or reworking a mix. With voiceover, I could wake up, knock out a script, deliver it within the hour, and actually get paid that same week. So it became scalable, it became predictable, and it was repeatable. Now don't get me wrong, it didn't blow up overnight. I started with Fiverr, like many people do, and if you've seen my other videos, you'll know now that I've done over 800 orders, mostly with 5-star reviews, but back then it was just a small gig on the side. At that time, I presented myself as a physiotherapist who did music production with a little sprinkle of voiceover on the side. Voiceover had other plans though. One client turned into two into 10, but the jobs weren't always easy. I got asked to do everything from deep cinematic intros to hyper-fast legal disclaimers, a lot of e-learning work and small ads from small brands, and each time I had to adapt to the next job. I Googled pronunciations all the time. I had to learn how to say things, not just to say them. And I had to get comfortable with silence between words and lines, the pacing, breath control. And most of all, I had to learn how to take direction, sometimes from clients who didn't know what they wanted themselves. Let's talk gear for a bit. I upgraded my mic to the SE2200 now, which is what I used to use recording artists. I learned how to reduce the room noise. I developed my own vocal chain specifically for my voiceover and built templates that let me trim, process, and deliver polished work very quickly. But it all started with a single yes to a client, a willingness to learn the skills and not just rely on the sound of my voice, which I don't think sounds great, to be honest. Now, here's what most people get wrong about voiceover. They think it's passive income. They think it's about just reading a script, taking a paper and just reading it. But if you really want to make this a career, you need to approach it like a business. And that means you have to have systems for fast delivery. Understand tone, style, and subtext when you're reading the script. Knowing how to record clean audio, obviously. Learning how to price your work based on value, not just with word count. Doing research and development by listening to how people you want to emulate speak, listening for how you can improve or define aspects like your accent or your tone. You must record and play your recordings back so you can listen with a critical ear. Ask your peers to be honest about how you sound. And then you lean into whatever God-given aspects of your voice you were given, whether it's a heavy, unique tone or whether it's a very thick accent. You have to learn it and lean into what you have because that's your voice. You can change it, not a hang of a lot, but you can change it, but you need to learn to love it and embrace what you've been given. Then the last thing would be building client relationships that last years, not just one project. If you've watched my video on building trust as a freelancer, you'll know how important that last part is. VoiceOver gave me the income flow I needed so I could pursue music production and content with more freedom. It wasn't just a gig, it became my foundation. And when it took over my primary source of income, I no longer had to work as a physiotherapist, which was amazing. I resigned from that job and it gave me time and energy to lean into more into improving my craft and getting better at voiceover. So if you're new to voiceover or you're still figuring it out, just know that you're not just selling your voice, you're selling consistency, clarity, confidence, and connection. Every time you deliver a read, you're showing someone what their message sounds like when it actually lands. If that excites you or you're already deep in it, hit subscribe. I'm going to be diving deeper into delivery techniques, gear, mixing, pricing models, and how to build this out as a sustainable arm of your creative business. Drop a comment if you'd like me to do a video on my actual voiceover vocal chain or possibly how I record. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.